Hi, everybody, and welcome back to EBnet Stream. I recently published an article from ESET around social media and how the opportunity exists to really go from likes to liabilities, which in fact was the name of the article. I reached out to the author, that's Carey van Vlaaderen from ESET, and she, together with her colleague Allan Juma, who is the cybersecurity engineer at ESET, agreed to have a cup of coffee with me this afternoon to chat about cybersecurity, social media, and where we are all at risk. So thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, such a pleasure to be chatting to you.
Thank you for having us.
So Carey, I'm going to start with you because it was your piece, and then we can jump maybe into the technicalities of some of the systems and software. But perhaps you could share for our viewers who haven't read the article, perhaps you could share kind of high level what your cautionary tale was.
Yeah, it's interesting because, really to tell a tale of caution, we've got to give a background why. We exist in the cybersecurity space, and the reason is there are cyber criminals out there, and you won't believe, Natalie, what kind of size industries these are. These are proper big organized crime units that operate in various parts of the world, and for various reasons. To the extent that our researchers will get over 300,000 different variants a day of types of samples of malware around. Yeah, so the industry is massive. It's pretty scary, the number. That's not new viruses, that's variants as well, but it's still a very high number. And, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. So, the reason for what cyber criminals are doing hasn't really changed. It's just the manner that they're doing it has changed over time. And I'm sure Allan later can share some hows of how they do it. But usually the reasons we're looking at are either for some financial gain or to take some kind of sensitive information. Sometimes that sensitive information is actually linked to geopolitical issues. Sometimes it's just to steal some financial information to obviously take some financial gain from a person or a company. So those motivators haven't really changed. Like I mentioned, it's really the ways they do it. And of course, it hasn't been that long really in the industry where social media has been so popular. And social media was created really for consumers. And it's evolved over time really to, with the likes of LinkedIn and the likes to include business as well, but not necessarily designed with business security in mind. So we're having this kind of merge of different lives. It's the same as the concept of bringing your own device to the office, and where is the responsibility on the person and where the responsibility on the business to protect the person and the network. So we've got social media coming in, and as an individual, their rights to have their private social life and social media, as with the mobile devices that are coming into the business network, physical devices, and connecting into the business network. Where does a business stop somebody bringing their own device, and where does a business stop somebody doing something through their social media? And yeah, so it's quite a difficult connection, because obviously you've got this background of security systems, which is obviously what we do at ESET. We have for many years done preventative security, and then you've got the proactive security as well. So you can put security layers, physical security layers on, but the crux that comes in when you have people on their own devices, people on their own minds, and people on their own social media is, of course, their awareness of what's going around, and what are the difficulties that they might put their own selves into, and of course their businesses if they're interacting in a business way with their own private devices and accounts as well on social media.
Lot. You've taken my breath away a little bit, because when you say social media, I was thinking of Facebook, Insta, Twitter or X. Then you talk LinkedIn, and there is a lot of our professional personas on there. And Allan, I wonder, from your experience as a cybersecurity expert, are there trends that we're seeing, or let's call them attack preferences, that these syndicates and large organizations are using?
Yes, there are some trends that we are seeing that the malicious actors or threat actors do like using. Now that you mentioned about LinkedIn, from where Carey left off, we have noticed a huge increase in fake job adverts on LinkedIn. As you know, LinkedIn is a place where people connect professionally. People are looking for jobs to make meaningful connections, and malicious actors are aware of this. So you'll find there are many job postings, and when in some cases when you actually apply for one, they come to your DM with links whereby they want you to upload your stuff or you send you malicious things. And since people may be desperate or they're looking for the next big break or the next big opportunity, their guard is let down just a little bit. You know, their self-awareness is reduced because I mean it's LinkedIn. I wouldn't expect such a thing to happen on LinkedIn. So we've seen a huge increase on that. So we've seen fake recruiters, fake job postings, fake people who are actually also looking for job solicitations. Like I'm looking for a job. This is my CV. I send you my CV, and beknown to you, that's actually a link that will redirect you to your site where you'll download something malicious. But because your guard is let down, you're not so suspecting. The other trend we have seen is what we call AI-powered attacks. I mean, AI is the buzzword nowadays. Everything is AI powered. And indeed, it has come to the cybersecurity world both positively and negatively. On the negative aspect, we've seen that AI is helping the threat actors automate and fast track their attacks. An example would be social engineering. With AI powered social engineering, I just need to go and Google who Nathalie Barrows is, get her profile. What do you like? What do you post about? I mean, what do you do professionally? And then I'll feed all this to an AI model. And then I'll ask it to come up with a realistic email specifically targeted for you, towards you. So that eliminates the human error whereby you'll make mistakes in terms of grammar, spelling. It eradicates the time spent on coming up with something that will be tailor-made for you. You can just put it in the AI model, and the chances for a successful attack are highly increased.
It's petrifying. It's absolutely petrifying because as much as there are these risks, there's obviously the business necessity to transact, communicate, interact with each other online via email, these platforms we're busy speaking of. And I guess I kind of hadn't really appreciated, like you say, your guard is down, you're on LinkedIn, there's a job opportunity perhaps, or someone's approaching you and you just clicky click because you think, or at least certainly I think, that LinkedIn and these platforms have ensured the security. But it's not about that, right? It's about me ensuring my behavior and my security of my devices. Is that kind of a fair way to put it?
It would be a fair way to put it. Well, we can say the social media companies, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the likes, they do go to some extent to ensure that their users on their platforms are secure. But there is no end to human innovation and human grit and determination. Where there's a will, there's a way. So they will always, no matter what checks and balances are put in place, human beings will always find a way to circumnavigate it and try and attack. So we always need to have our guard, on all the time.
Hiya pals, greetings from Sammy. EBnet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Share this video with others you think will benefit from it. And give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBnet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za. Ciao, ciao, and bye-bye.
I want to go and change all my passwords all of a sudden.
I would advise you to do so, actually.
It's a good habit to be in.
I think looking at this and kind of putting it through the filter of the joint standard of 2 of 24 that came into effect this year in June, obviously people are kind of hyper aware. I myself, listening to you, am probably a little bit to blame for kind of having this view of what this could look like, and yet it could look like something completely different. Where is the biggest vulnerability in the chain when it comes to cyber attacks? Either of you to answer.
I'll let Carey answer that, and maybe I'll just finish it off.
If you look at the balance of the risk, so I think that's where the difficult part is, and we don't definitely push this topic of cybersecurity through fear because it's the wrong way. If you hear a lot of fear, you run away, right? And that's why, like anything in life, it's more about preventative and then reaction afterwards, and trying as much as you can to do what you can. In this case of the specific topic of social media and the risk of it, the biggest issue which we're talking, which Allan was saying, is the human, right? Very high percentage of phishing attacks or malware attacks are through phishing. This is them trying to social engineer you. So the human has to do the work, right? But because of the sophistication, it's really hard to identify them. And that's where you should, yes, definitely bank on the fact that, the big guys like a LinkedIn, etc., are doing their job and they're trying as much as they can to eliminate people posting the wrong stuff. And they do a lot. Of course, you then have your own, as a company or a person, you have your own layer of security with a secure cybersecurity system. And that should also help you pick up anything. Should you actually click on a link, it should help to pick up that it is a virus or some kind of malware. But the big issue is the human, right? Trying to get a human to stop doing something that is enticing. It's that time of the year. It's so busy. You just click on everything because everything needs to be clicked on. Especially, it's a little bit of a push economically. So if something's free and quick, we naturally go for it. Like Allan's example of recruitment, everyone needs a job. So it's the balance of bringing in something at the end there as well of trying to make yourself aware. And it's the same like keeping your kids aware. Allan alluded to that as well. Humans find a way to get into systems. So you can fully block them, which obviously you can do on a system-wise, like a system like ESET. You can set up policies like social media policies and actual policies that you post somewhere. But policies only go so far, like reading them and training somebody on them. And then, of course, then it's just about awareness. So like your kids and like your employees, you do as much as you can to just say, hey, it's a good hygiene, like you said, to change your password regularly. And this is the kind of password you can use to make a good, strong password. And we really truly believe in this awareness type of setup. And it's got to be repetitive here because it's really hard to make something relatable that mightn't be totally ridiculous to you last week, but it actually makes sense to you this week. So it's a continuous game of awareness, and I think it empowers somebody as well because you can go the strict way and totally block people in every way possible. And this is where we always say in the industry, this balance between somebody's rights to their own privacy and their own leeway and looking around the internet, if you really want to say it that way, versus just saying, well, you're just restricted. You're not even allowed to go there. So yeah, a balance of prevention and then, of course, reaction when something goes wrong is really important.
Allan, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to maybe add to what Carey said, indeed, the human is the weakest link. However, my personal opinion is an untrained human. A human who is not aware of the risks is the biggest liability. What do I mean? If I know that there is a danger up ahead, I'll be on guard, I'll be alert, I'll be aware. So in case I see anything out of the norm or something that may look suspicious, I won't ignore it. I won't, downplay it. I'll want to go investigate and protect myself. But when you find a human who's not aware of the dangers that are lacking, especially on the internet, they'll go click on every link that comes their way, accept every friend request or follow that comes their way and just be oblivious, thinking it's all rainbows and sunshine. But a user who's aware empowers not only themselves, but the entire organization.
I love that we've moved to the users, right? Because it's only as weak as or strong as its weakest link. The chain particularly, and we hear that all the time, cybersecurity is everyone's issue. It's not just IT's issue. As a human who is a clicky-click human, and certainly, a human who is parenting young adults, where are the biggest vulnerabilities? Is it on my social media? Am I going to get an email that comes from a dodgy lawyer in Nigeria who's paying me an inheritance? Is it still that obvious?
Do you know why the Nigerian prince scam has been very successful? because they target a specific demographic within any society. It's not a one size fits all. So whereas you may look at it and say, this is just another scam, I'll ignore it. But there's a certain demographic that will be intrigued by that and want to click. So when you ask where is the danger most likely to be on social media, on email, it's everywhere because there are different groups and they have different targets. Think of it not just as a business, but an actual economy. In the economy, you have your like your big guys who target specific organizations. You have your small, medium enterprises. Then you have your home users or one, two users. So it's an industry like that. It's an economy like that. There are people who will come and say, I want to target this particular group, maybe age 20 to 25, because this is what they like. This is what attracts them. Then another will say, I want to target the pensioners because then they are, it's an easier demographic to deal with. So the danger is all over, but like Carey said, it's not spreading fear, it's just spreading awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Allan, I'm pretty sure that a majority of this malware is pushed through a phishing type of attack, and that needs the human to initiate it. So, I mean, just changing yourself away from being a clicky might get you, half the way there. And of course, having some kind of great, security on whatever devices you're using. When in doubt, just don't click. Or double check, right? Just to be totally practical about it, because at the end of the day, Allan's a cybersecurity engineer. He knows. Normal people like us don't necessarily.
I was just thinking there was a time in my life where clicky meant you were part of the cool kids clique. Now it means something completely different, but equally as petrifying.
Yeah, and it doesn't, I agree with you. It doesn't have to be totally petrifying, and especially our kind of industry, we very much focus on the SME. We're an SME ourselves, and that's the biggest part of South Africa, right? Bringing in a lot of the economic revenue. So those are the kind of people that we help, where you're a normal company, you don't necessarily have the technical skills because you're too small still. That's what in the industry we talk about: managed detection and response, so MDR. Don't know if you've ever heard that acronym. But it's really, really sweet, especially in the SME market, because it's basically somebody managing this stuff for you, so you don't have to freak out about securing your network, because in reality, a lot of SMEs, a lot of home networks really don't have any clue, and it's understandable. It's not like you a bad person not knowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're a fool. I mean, all about my home network, and as the person who works from home, suddenly my banking. Anyway, I suppose I should talk less now.
You're just a normal person.
I know, just a normal. Thank you for that. It's so lovely when the IT people call you normal.
Yeah. You don't have to go back to the dark ages of not putting money in the bank, putting it under your mattress. Technology is here to make life easier, and as technology evolves, also cybersecurity evolves, and how to protect ourselves.
Back to those SMEs, and I think to wrap up this conversation, which has been illuminating, back to those SMEs, you talk about awareness for staff and users. What does regular awareness look like for you, and kind of what are the most impactful interventions that you've seen work in these types of environments?
Well, I would say.
Oh,
sorry,
Carey's on mute,
you're
unfortunately.
mute.
You go ahead, Allan. Sorry.
Oh, okay. One strategy I've seen that really works is it should not be relegated to the low-level workers. Cybersecurity should be something that is driven from the C-level executive. It starts from the top, because when the organization sees that our bosses, our leaders actually are mindful of cybersecurity, actually do practice what they're preaching, then it tends to set the pace for the entire organization. What do I mean in terms of awareness? If you have an awareness program, by awareness, I mean you can do it online, or you have a scheduled 1 hour, 2 hour meeting whereby everybody comes. If the first person to sign up is the CEO, if the first person to sign up is the head of IT, head of finance, then the rest of the people will see, okay, fine, it is something that is actually beneficial, not only to me and to the organization, and it sets the tone. That is one thing that I've seen that really, really works, top, bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. And Allan, like you mentioned, there's a lot of content to get through, so it's really hard to stay up to date as well. Obviously, the industry is changing quite regularly. So you mentioned online tools, which are great because those sort of platforms are updated regularly, and can be set to simulate situations in your organization that might, if you think of a software that your organization uses, Natalie, and you can actually create a simulation of a phishing attack. And should the person react to it, you can say, listen, that was incorrect. I see you pushing in by mistake. Let's make a plan to teach you why this looks like a phishing email and how you can, look out for it in the future. And that is because it's regularly updated. It's used to be relatable to your corporate or organization or home network. But to keep up to date is quite hard. So the online tools, I think, Allan, mentioning is a good idea because it helps you keep up to date. Otherwise, it's usually that one guy in finance who's been told you have to run the cybersecurity awareness program, and he doesn't know what's going on. And the next meeting comes and he's talking about something from the 1980s. So, and then that's not really fair as well on that person.
A great conversation. Certainly one that we should get out there and just remind ourselves of, viewing cybersecurity and these bad or threat actors that Allan has called them as organizations, profitable organizations who do market analysis, who segment their markets, who advertise voraciously. It's like you say, it's far more sophisticated than I had even thought, and rightly so. As we go into Black Friday, all that type of spam that we're about to get into our inboxes, it's definitely a timely reminder. So, Carey, Allan, thank you so much from ESET. I appreciate the conversation, and I look forward to discussing this more with you in future.
Thank
Been
you.
wonderful chatting.